let's start asking some questions, dude.
All right, let's do it. So we have the first 10 questions, 10 burning questions. So I'm going to...
Yeah, some of these are like very general metaverse type questions. Not general. I mean, these all of them are pretty like I'd say advanced to intermediary level type questions. You know, because I mean, we spend a lot of our time thinking about the metaverse, right?
Yeah.
And we've analyzed and observed a lot of outside opinions about what it is and their doubts, their fears, and all that stuff. So we try to incorporate as much as we could into these 10 questions to try and, you know, leverage AI to settle some of those doubts.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So let's see what we got.
All right. First question. For a virtual world where people own all digital content, including their land parcels, how do you build a sustainable and distributed game economy in the metaverse?
Okay, so this is an example of not a general question, right? This is very specific to us.
This is very specific to us.
Yeah.
All right. So we're getting output here from the AI. Finally. All right. So here's the response, and we can talk about it. Building a sustainable, distributed game economy in the metaverse is a complex task that requires a lot of planning and careful execution. Here are a few key things to consider. Number one, clearly define the rules and regulations of the game economy, including how digital assets will be created, bought, sold, and traded. This will help to ensure that the economy functions smoothly and fairly for all participants. Number two, create a system for distributing new digital assets, such as land parcels, in a way that is fair and balanced. This could involve using a lottery or auction system or implementing a system that rewards players for the contributions to the game. Number three, establish a set of economic incentives that encourage players to engage with the game economy and participate in economic activities. For example, you could offer rewards or bonuses for players who trade frequently or who help to grow the game economy by bringing new players into the game. Number four, monitor the game economy closely and make adjustments as needed to ensure that it remains healthy and sustainable. This could involve setting limits on the total number of digital assets that can be created, implementing policies to prevent inflation, or taking other measures to maintain the overall health of the game economy.
Okay.
So overall, the key to building a sustainable and distributed game economy in the metaverse is to create a system that is transparent, fair, and balanced, and to continually monitor and adjust it to ensure that it remains healthy and dynamic.
All right, dude, that is quite the thorough and well thought out response.
Yes, it is. So this AI sources a lot of this data, training data, from all the internet, including Reddit, blog posts, all kinds of stuff, news articles.
Yeah, because what's interesting about this question is it's kind of almost like a trick question in a way, because distributed game economy is a novel concept, right?
Yeah, I think so.
I think it didn't exactly align with what it is you were asking it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, to our knowledge, we're the ones building an actual distributed game ecosystem for the metaverse, right? Where you can actually fragment the functions and the components of a game and distribute them across, different owners and hosts. So it doesn't factor that into its response because it's not well known.
Yeah, it doesn't
right?
know. The AI will not innovate on anything.
No.
Only humans can innovate.
Potentially. I mean, I've seen some responses that seem like it's almost like an attempt at, giving you a viable strategy towards innovation.
But the very fact that it gave you that response means it's not innovative because it sourced that data.
Of course. Yeah, I know. But I feel like in almost in a way, the way it aggregates all that data and information and then it outputs it, it almost leads to like original thought. I feel like I don't know if it's obviously not original, right? Because it's taking already said statements from the universe. But to me, this feels original. Just, I don't know, in the way it's compacted, I guess. So what do you think?
It just verifies everything that we've thought about having a sustainable ecosystem outside of the innovative aspects of it. The fact that we have a game that has been split into multiple components and then distributed to a bunch of owners, and then the communities hosting the entire game.
Yeah.
That's the innovative part that it's never going to understand until a few years down the line, where everybody's talking about a distributed game economy. Yeah,
that key word sustainable is probably the most important one in this question because, if we're talking about Web3 games, we haven't really identified the right pathway to sustainability yet.
Yeah.
Right. So this is why it's such an important question, right? what does AI think is the best way to get to that? I think it's pretty close.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any way we can rely on,
Yeah.
this is going to be definitively like the solution, but nonetheless, it's a pretty good shot, dude.
Yeah. I mean, it talks about setting limits on the total number of digital assets that can be created, implementing policies to prevent inflation.
So right away, that reminds me of Axie Infinity.
Yeah.
There were no limits imposed as far as how many digital assets could be created from the player economy, and therefore it resulted in rampant inflation in the supply of these digital assets. And a lot of people foresaw that coming.
Yeah.
And most people kind of like ignored these calls, these heeds of warning, but it happened.
Yeah, I think maybe every game in the metaverse should implement the game theory that Satoshi implemented with Bitcoin in terms of difficulty.
I see. Like over time, as more adoption occurs, the more difficult.
It's like
the slower the output. Yeah.
To generate more axes, it becomes more expensive to generate more axes.
Yeah.
And so, but then if it's more expensive to generate more axes, there should be incentive to burn axes, right? And so the value that you gain by burning axes goes up. Like you get more SLP, for example, and then that's balanced out with, okay, now that I have more SLP, I can generate more axes. And so it's balancing.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's something that we should consider implementing in our game as well.
Everybody has to. Like that's the economic ins and outs is something that has to be continually monitored. And you as a designer have to almost be preemptive in your strategy and make sure you have enough of these, levers at your disposal to adjust. And anytime there's some sort of imbalance in the economy, right?
Yeah.
You got to have some kind of, control. Of course, we want to build and eventually get to a reality where everything is decentralized and, DAO governance is actually as impactful as everybody envisions it to be. But in the beginning stages, whenever there's not enough, maturity, I guess, in the ecosystem, a lot of manual input has to be involved.
Yeah.
Right. So there's nothing wrong with that. Don't scoff at it. It's like, that doesn't mean like, the ecosystem's in danger or anything like that. It's just, it's necessary, right, to make sure the economy could thrive. So.
Yeah.